Hey there, everybody. Thanks for joining me for another one-man review. Today I'll be taking a look at Children of Moo Town by Masumura Jūshichi. This is put out by Glacier Bay Books. Glacier Bay puts out just all these amazing books, and they have a really great mission as a publisher as well, which is to take independent and underground manga and release English translations of those, which I just absolutely love that because I've formed this false impression of what goes on in comics in Japan just based on the fact that the things that get translated are the things that the things that they bother to translate are the things that are things they believe are going to sell very well. So we get the biggest mass marketing kind of things from them. So it's really nice to see these not that the things that we get in translation aren't serious, but to see these really serious considerate pieces of independent comics is great to get that flavor. And it also, more than the mass market stuff, I think gives me a flavor of Japan a little bit better because it's less trapped in the formulas of Japan that we get. So this book here is really interesting bit of like political intrigue based around this Marigaoka Park Town, otherwise known as Moo Town. It's a housing development project located in North Tokyo, and it was given his name because it was occupied by Allies during the war, so it was named after Murray, Sergeant Murray, I believe, Murray Town, so they call it Moo Town. But it's this housing development, and there's a political campaign going on in Japan to try and get money to renovate housing developments, basically. And it's this whole little town. I believe it's a lot of people. I forget the number of people, but there's a bunch of people in there, so it's almost like its own little place. And they're basically there are people making moves to try and get the money, the development money, and there are then like more of a street gang trying to keep control of the town for themselves. So that's basically the story. I don't want to get into it too much more than that because it's pretty complex, and I think you should go read it yourself. Some interesting reference to me that this feels similar to. It feels like The Wire, but more compressed, which is a strange thing to say about manga, that it's more compressed. But the team that does The Wire and Treme and The Deuce, those are the 3 TV shows that I know that same team has done, where they really like get embedded into a place, and the story's more about the place, and then you have this cast of characters, this ensemble cast of characters that flesh the place out. It's like a compressed version of something like that, where you're really looking at the politics of a place and all the different levels, from the street people to the rich celebrities. And I really adore that type of storytelling. This is probably something that could have played out over, 150, 200 issues, a typical kind of decompressed manga, but this is compressed. So that kind of structure of the story feels a little bit more what I'm used to from like American underground comics. One of the things that's just so lovely about this book, and I'll show a couple other images, is since it is so much about the town, there's this real sense of character of this housing development, especially at night. It's almost always shown at night. And I just love these sequences like this where you've got this window and this character comes out and obviously just pops off some shots out of his gun and then takes a rest, fills it, pops off a bunch more, and then is just quiet, and then you get this like sound of cars on the street. So with those 4 images, you get this really rich tactile sense of the place that's just astonishing to me. I love that. Here there's a really interesting bit that I want to read that talks about what's going on politically and kind of the, not even conspiracy theory, but just the real facts about human psychology that people in power can use to manipulate us. I think it's described very well throughout the book, but culminates here. And so apologies a little bit for spoiler alerts, but I just think it's really powerful. Karen may have a premonition tomorrow of how the town will be in 5 to 10 years, and also of the day she will come to realize that she was used by politicians and her father. So Karen is this celebrity that's coming in and bringing the money in to revivify this town. And there's also there's an immigration policy that they're trying to get more people into the town because it has a dying population, and they're trying to revivify the town by boosting the population. So there's no doubt the immigration policies will pass, and they will move at a speed and efficiency not seen usually by bureaucracy, starting with Marigaoka to all of Tokyo, Osaka, Aichi, and finally the whole country. The sudden increase in immigrants will cause changes, big and small, for the residents here. Discontent will grow. If it's left to fester, it will end up pointed directly at the immigrants. After the immigration measures are enacted, conservative politicians will start gaining more support with the far right at the head, just like what happened in Europe. And I love that they're showing kind of this more hidden agenda here of like, look, we're selling this thing as like we're all being friendly and helpful and useful, but there's these bigger pictures there, knowing how people are going to react to certain things. It's definitely conspiratorial and paranoid and suspicious, but it also seems like absolutely accurate to me that we do live in a world where people do know this about us and they do manipulate the population that way, obviously, of course. And so I think this book does a really good job showing that at its nitty-gritty details, and then that kind of gave this really beautiful summary of the kind of general structure of how these things go. And then here's just a couple more pages of just the town at night, just being dark and gloomy, and just getting a sense of the real place of this big housing development / town. So this Children of Moo Town is a hell of a book. This is out from Glacier Bay Books. Glacier Bay is doing a hell of a thing as a publisher, so please go support them if you can. If you enjoy what we're doing here on the channel and want to support us, there's two ways to do that. One is through our Patreon. We have a couple different tiers of interaction on there with some voting privileges and some exclusive content. And any of the money that we make on there is part of what we use to buy the books that we review. So we try to turn that right back around into the community and to other creators. And then the best thing you can do to support Living the Line is to support what Sean's doing with Living the Line Publishing. So here's some options of some books you can get now. The Exile by Eric Creek is a gorgeously illustrated Viking saga of revenge. Eric Creek calls it his Viking Western. It's about a guy who's been away on the warpath and is returning home to some family troubles that have to be resolved. And this is told in just this amazing, like, kind of 3-color art style that looks like old woodblock cuts or something. It's absolutely gorgeous book that you've got to pick up. Thanks for following along. Take it away, Jack.
You want to see all these books? Smash that subscribe button and the like button and the bell, and then you get them.